So basically, every country is essentially its own nation that can create their own cryptocurrency, and then they can print this cryptocurrency and anything. So just imagine you're running a country. Well, I can print this shit coin that my customer base is going to end up buying up, so they won't keep the price doesn't collapse as fast. So I take my shit coin, sell it, and then buy coins that I think they're actually going to hold value, or gold or oil or commodities. And that's what these countries do. Like
that's awesome analogy, man, because it's so true. What you're saying is so true. Like, and it's a great way to look at it. I want you to keep going, but I just want to say one thing. Like, pay attention to what he's saying, because like a lot of people don't understand economics, like global economics, like how countries, manipulate their currency and how they do this stuff. But it is like, the thing about crypto is it does give you a reference point for people to understand, right? Like that this is the game. Like it's just now we're seeing it because we've seen it in crypto and we can connect these dots. But yeah, keep going. Explain what you're going to say here.
Yeah. So it's just every country is essentially running a Ponzi. I mean, this is something that I personally learned from Richard and stuff, just from like everything's a Ponzi. And it's like, like, no, Miguel, you're full of shit. That's not true. But if you think about it, it is true. Because watch this. Like, basically, you're a shitty developed country if your birth rate's it's low. What does the birth rate mean, right? The birth rate means is that you're not that your tax sheep, or the people of your country are not creating enough people to replace them. So then it's putting a negative feedback loop on the economy. Versus if you had a modernizing economy who has like a 0.31 birth rate, which means for every two people they're having babies, the average couple's having 3 kids. If like I could fix the U.S. economy in one day, I mean, in like literally in 1 second. So it'd just be like if I somehow made things where the average United States couple was having 3 kids, the economy would be like just vertical. Because what would happen is you're having 1 kid to replace you, one kid to replace your wife, and 1 kid for the economy. Economic solved, basically, because they're Ponzi's, because obviously at some point you fill, and that's even bullshit too, because honestly most of the United States and most countries are not really even filled up enough, right? But most countries can't do that, but I think the states could get away with it. But there's this whole thing of just overpopulation, right? But if you end up having a positive demographic, right, we have a boom, right? The reason that a lot of people, like the baby boomers, right, the baby boom. The reason that was so gigantic is because you end up having a bunch of dudes come back from World War I, go and get all their wives pregnant, have a family of anywhere from like 3 to 4 kids. U.S. economy just shoots up, and we've been in a bull market for like goddamn their whole lifetime off of them. And then you end up having the Xers, which is a smaller generation, and then they're like, why are the Xers why do they suck? Why is it like they're not that good? It's because they're smaller. And then why did everyone get hyped about the millennials? Because finally there was a generation that could actually match the baby boomer generation. It did. We're slightly bigger than them, slightly. And like, this is something that I was like I've always studied was demographics, right? Which is like behavioral economics and demographics. But if you look at it, right, like, so I know that's kind of a side tangent on the whole conversation, but basically,
no, it's super relevant.
Countries are running Ponzi's.
It's relevant. It's super relevant. Like the demographics matter a lot, right? Because that's your ecosystem, right? Maintaining itself and having new people contributing to the ecosystem. So yeah, it's important. But keep going.
Yeah. So I mean, if somehow like we raised, if we just like literally, if everyone on average, like no one in the States, if you were to get married and you can't have less than 2 kids and you had 3 to 4 kids, we'd be fine. Fine. The debt, whatever. Hey, there's like, he's like, well, because what ends up happening is like if you have more kids and stuff, right? Like what would happen? It's just this whole thing. You have more people. That means more consumerism. Then you can borrow more debt, and like the debt you owe it is actually it's not that bad because we have 4 kids coming in per. If we had a 4%, a 0.4 birth rate in the United States. What recession? There's nothing like that. It's the one, like literally you can fix it. That's it.
Because you're saying because you have more value being created by more people coming in to keep the Ponzi going, essentially, and that debt that's owed can keep getting leveraged against the new value coming in the form of humans that are creating value. They're coming from nowhere essentially, and so you do need like the population to grow. and more production and more consumption. But you need that. It's basically like a party, and you need
Right.
people to keep showing up at the party.
Right.
Um,
It's a major boom because what'll happen is, look, if let's just say in the next this next 10 years we all started having kids, like seriously, because I'm gonna try to have 4 kids just because, but like because I'll do my part. But it's this whole thing where, like, all right, let's just say the average couple had 3 to 4 kids in the states. I'm just talking about the states because that's what I know personally. If we had 4 in the states, what would happen is they're born, boom, hospitals just pop off. You need hospitals, you need nurses, just because of all the babies and kids. Then there's a hiring spree for nurses and caregivers, and then from there, baby bottle. Even though baby bottle formula is horrible, it would launch up. Next up, like the clothes for babies, toys, little clothes, cribs, tech to watch the kid to make sure they don't fall off. Just these industries would be guys just vertical in terms of hiring. Then from there, kindergarten, like boom, schools need to be built. Boom, it's just nothing but like it's just nothing but net. Like just like the economy, and of course, even if you have even though we have more technology, it's because what will happen is because we don't have the workforce right now in order to do all this stuff. We just end up creating smaller companies that automate more stuff in order. So you end up having just more of these micro companies in the states. But then you need higher food. It's just insanity. It's basically a fix all to the economy. But just to go on to that's the Ponzi in a way, right? So because we build our way, because what will happen is then we have to borrow money. Because we borrow money, we spend money today. If you spend money today, what does that do? GDP number go up, and then
Yeah,
on top of that, that
they
means
pretend they don't
because
like. They pretend they don't want inflation, but inflation is like the only way the game really works because you need to inflate away the debt. You need to have like just tons and tons of money so they can keep expanding and keep, like you said, just having this debt. Like they need, and they basically rug the entire. It's an EOS. Like it's literally an EOS taking place over decades with the population. It's an EOS type of a move where like they just devalue the currency and but they're actually doing shit. But the point being, you know what I'm saying? It's just like it's crazy to think about because obviously the dollar has value because the U.S. military and because the U.S. like economy and everything, and because it's consumption and because it's like the reserve currency of the world and everything. So everything's priced in dollars and so that gives it value. But so it's amazing. They have an extra buffer. Like the U.S. can get away with even longer abuse to their currency
right.
because they're in a privileged position where they are the reserve currency. Other countries, they go through these cycles faster because they can't get away with the level of debasement of the currency because it'll just lose its value. Because other countries will start trying to get out of their native currency, and then they'll have to actually like try to keep the population buying their coin. Could you imagine if like you're in a bad like altcoin, and then they make it so like you can't get out of that altcoin? They're like they won't let you leave. They won't let you sell to another altcoin.
Capital control. Like this is one of the greatest lessons I learned. If you have capital controls, then what does that show? Right? It means that more people want to get out than in.
Yeah, you're forcing people. It's like you have a party going on and you're like locking all the side doors. You want to keep people in your party and you're like, guys, this is awesome. We're having a great time. But you're like locking all the doors because people want to leave. Like that's what it's like with a lot of these, unfortunately, a lot of these countries because people recognize like, I don't trust the government. I mean, at this point, I don't know what government you can trust, but it's been so blatant in some of these countries in the
You can
past.
trust in DCC. That's what you can trust.
Yeah. I mean, if you start a country, man, I will definitely.
If I get enough bread, I'm gonna do
it.
I'll do it.
Compared to Trudeau, like definitely, you're an easy. You got all my money, all my I'll be part of your society because I definitely would.
Okay, so me and Charlie. Okay, this is really funny. Me and Charlie have talked about this. Me and Charlie have literally talked about a certain place on this earth where we think we could actually take over.